Doors closing.
And now, something completely different.
Happy Hour.
Call from
Shaylu's Extraordinary Finds.
to accept, press 1. To send a
What's up, bro?
What's up, Tim? How are you?
Good, dude. Let's get right into it. Can you hear me?
What?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I get what you did there. That was funny. That was very good. All right.
Hilarious.
Mancow would be proud of that. All right. I'm going to leave that in there, actually, because that was funny. Let's, before we get into Happy Hour with Ryan Hoppe, we got to play this.
This is the theme to Mancow Show, the opening theme to Mancow Show. Mancow called me up and asked if I would write his theme song. I'm almost halfway finished. How do you like it so far? How do you like the theme to Mancow Show? This is the theme to Mancow Show, the opening theme to Mancow Show. He's the guy who makes you laugh when you're feeling lousy. We're almost to the part of where I start to whistle. Then you'll hear the Mancow Show. Welcome to the Mancow Show. Good morning.
Hello?
Time to get up and go to work.
And now, broadcasting live from the 37th floor of the John Hancock Building, from inside the cramped and dimly lit Rock 103.5 broadcast studios, it's the man who would be Cow, Mancow Muller.
What is up, DJ Luv Cheez of Mancow's Morning Madhouse? You are on Happy Hour. How are you, my friend?
This is like a lifelong dream come true for me. I just want to let you know that right off the bat.
Oh, really? Wow, you've
Big
got to
fan
get
of-
better dreams then.
No, dude, you are killing it. You went from like doing your little podcast to doing your thing, and then you've grown and grown and grown, and it's been fun to watch and see you get bigger and bigger and bigger and just get to where you've gone. It's great.
I
You're doing
appreciate
great,
it.
man.
Listen, there were, now Mancow would not like hearing this, but there were 3 morning shows that I listened to, 4 that I listened to while not wanting to go to school between 04 to 08, which I should not have been listening in 4th grade. It was number one was Eddie and Jobo. Then it was Mancow's Morning Madhouse. And when Johnny B was on the loop, I would listen to that occasionally. And then if all 3 were in commercial, I would turn on Drex. But hearing a dude talk about jacking off at 7 a.m. was unpleasant. But Mancow...
Yeah, I wait till 7:30. I wait till 7:30.
Or maybe 8:10. But the thing is, I've told many people that Mancow had a huge influence on me. And a lot of these boomer radio hosts don't want to give him credit. Now, I know you guys were very controversial in that, but you guys were one of the most talked about shows. I remember in elementary school, we had this one teacher who is probably like 45 now. He was in his 20s, like an 80s baby. And he would talk to this other teacher. Did you hear what Mancow did? Did you hear what Mancow did? Dude, you guys were the talk of Chicago for that 20 years.
Yeah, it was. We had an amazing run. We got really lucky. And the thing about it is that we made everything big. It's not just a CD signing. We're going to go out and do a CD signing. Meet us at Rolling Stone Records at 3 o'clock, and you show up and Mancow is just sitting at a table. Like when we did a CD tour, we had a bus, we had a band on the bus, there was a stripper, it's like a whole show, a donkey, some midgets. So whatever we did, Mancow would make it a show. So you're not just, he doesn't just walk out and introduce a band. He comes out with, something crazy. It's just, he's like the radio Barnum and Bailey.
Yeah.
P.T. Barnum. It's like you make everything a show, no matter how big it is, no matter what it is. It's like, this is going to be the biggest thing ever. And that's what people enjoyed because it was like going to a show. You're not just going to go see, Mancow do his morning show and you sit there and it's quiet, 90% of the time. Then they talk for a few minutes. It's like there's stuff going on all over.
And the thing is, he was perfect for Chicago because I've had this cultural difference with Tampa Bay radio where it's very chill here and it's very monotone. And when I'm ranting, I'm very similar to Cow in the way that I speak my mind. And it's funny how in some cities people find that off-putting. But man, when you're in Chicago and it's like 5 degrees out and you're, shoveling the snow, there was something about the prank calls or whatever you guys did. There's something about when it's really cold out that you appreciate dirty humor. It's very hard to explain.
That's hilarious. I don't know what that is, if there's some scientific thing there. But there was, when we started in San Francisco in 92 and Mancow in 94, he goes, hey, we got hired to go out to Chicago. And I was like, why Chicago? Why don't we go to LA? Why don't we, and he goes, Chicago is the hub of radio. There's been so many legendary DJs that have come out of this city, and it's just legendary personalities from Harry Carey to Mancow to whoever, Kevin Matthews, Danny Bonaducci, Larry Lujak. There's always just been great storytellers and great characters on the radio, Granted how stupid it was, Kevin Matthews and Jim Shorts. It's just like this. Hey, Jim, what are you doing? Not much. I'm just sitting here. Oh, really? Where are you going? I'm going to the game. That's how stupid it was. But people loved Jim Shorts. We had real people instead of Jim Shorts. Like we had Turd. We had Freak. We had Mini Freak. We had Freak Sneeze. We had, Puppet the Dwarf. We had just a random assortment of people. So even if you didn't like Mancow, you liked Turd. If you didn't like Turd, you liked me. If you didn't like me, you liked Freak.
Hey.
So there was something for everybody on the show, and that's what made it so good, is the fact that you liked somebody on there and you would listen. And even people, like I think we were talking about this, me and you, like people that hate the show would listen because they would come up to you and go, dude, that was so stupid when you guys sent Turd out and he rolled down the steps in a garbage can. That was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Johnny B did that 25 years ago. It's like, well, first off, Johnny B wasn't around 25 years ago. And, second off, we did that, on our own,
How tense. So I've seen the video from I think probably 94 or 95, whereas you... or his Mancow show, rather, when I say the word you. Mancow show, Steve Dahl and Brand Meyer are all in the same hallway, and Mancow's fucking around. He bothers Steve Dahl, and Brand Meyer puts on a little more of a chill face, but how awkward was it? Because I've worked in hallways where, the afternoon host and morning host don't get along, but I've never had it where, there were, 3 big-time shows in the same building like that, 3 legends.
It was pretty amazing. I mean, we came from San Francisco. Mancow was in Modesto before then, or something like Modesto, Fresno, some little tiny market. Made it to San Francisco. I met him. We instantly clicked comedically, and it got to the point where I could read his mind and know what he was, what he wanted. If he was talking about something, I knew what song to put up. Stuff like that. But when we first got here, we were in a tiny little studio on the 41st floor of the Hancock, overlooking the lake. So we looked straight out into the lake. Directly across from us was Jonathan Brandmeier. Down the hall was Steve Dahl. And all the producers, we would all talk. We were all friends. All the, Swanee, Jimmy McInerney, Jimmy Mack, just producers from all of these shows who went on to do great things in radio. We would all talk, but then the guy, Mancow, would see Johnny B walk out. There he is. Go say something to him. And I'm like, hey, Johnny B, what's up? But the first day we were on, we had a TV camera in the studio because it was a big deal that Mancow came. We let cows loose on North Michigan. But there was a TV camera in, and Mancow goes, hey, you guys want to meet Johnny B? Come on. Walks across the hall, kicks Johnny B's door open, and Johnny B's face was so mad. and he was about to just go off on Mancow, and then he saw the TV camera, and he started smiling, hey. And then
really?
the very next day, there's a padlock on Johnny B's door, so you can't go in there. His people had to have a key to get in and out of his studio because he didn't want Mancow to ever do that again. It's on YouTube if you look it up.
It's funny.
Mancow goes, it's hilarious.
Dahl looked so annoyed.
Oh, but I mean, all those guys, just the fact that this new guy's coming in. And that's the reason we got brought here. We were kicking KMEL's butt in San Francisco. We were on Wild 107. There was another morning show on KMEL. They were number one till we started, and now we were killing them. KMEL was owned by Evergreen Media, who owned The Loop and AM 1000 and Rock 103.5. So they thought, let's bring this little redneck guy from Missouri to Chicago, where the bigwigs are, and they'll eat him alive, and then he'll be gone, and we'll have our show back in San Francisco, and we'll be rid of Mancow. So we show up and just instantly start taking over. You know, like the show was completely different in San Francisco than it was in Chicago in terms of our audience. Like in San Francisco, we were going after female Hispanics. In Chicago, we're going after male men because we were on a rock station. And he had no problem instantly changing because I think that's more his style anyways. And just with the people that we had in place, we just took over. And we just, you know, basically from 94, maybe 95 until 2008, we just like ruled, you know?
It was funny. I remember, I have this weird memory where I remember things that like happen on a day. And I remember one morning I listened to Mancow and I was talking to this like girl who, there was this religious family, because my mom's religious, and it was a religious family that my mom hung out with, and their daughter was a little promiscuous, kind of like anti-Catholic, and she listened to Mancow, and I was talking to her about it, and I remember my brain couldn't comprehend. You guys had a disclaimer before the show began, and I remember my fourth grade brain, I asked her, we're out to eat or something, and I said, why do they air that? How do they know that Mancow's going to be dirty? Because my brain couldn't comprehend it. You know, it was weird.
Was that before the TV show, or was that before?
Before the radio show, I think it was like some content might not be suitable, or I forget. But I remember just having that conversation, and she's like, "Well, you know, they're probably gonna be dirty in that." And then my one uncle is a Howard Stern fan, and he cannot stand Mancow.
That's how most Howard Stern fans are. It's like they're so. I don't know if right word or not, but like, is it myopic? Like they only see one thing. And if you're a Stern fan, that's all you listen to. It's so strange because I've met Stern fans and people are always like, you guys are copying Howard Stern. And it's like, well, first off, we didn't have Stern in San Francisco. We didn't have Stern in Chicago. We don't listen to him because we're on at the same time, you know, like online or whatever. Even back then there was no online, but they're like, you're stealing from Howard Stern. It's like, no.
I never got that. To me, someone like Rover's Morning Glory, to me, because I worked for him, he is a little more of a Howard Stern copycat. Mancow might have been similar, but to me, he would talk about 20 topics in the amount of time that Stern talks about 2. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I think that was when people would come to, you know, we had so many sidekicks come and go over the years because Mancow is so like on like one second he's talking about this, Christmas, New Year's, boom, Halloween. He just like goes from topic to topic to topic. You know, I just use holidays just because it's the only thing I can think of. But it's like he just goes from topic to topic to topic, and that's how like now if you like pay attention to radio, that's all they do now is they say, but they only say one thing. Because people can't handle more than one thing at a time. So when jocks come on the air, they're like, hey, do the ticket giveaway, you know, Third Eye Blind, coming to the whatever, you know, and then they go into a song. You know, Mancow would have talked about Third Eye Blind, how big of a jerk Stephen Jenkins is, this, that, and then went into the song, you know. And I think that's what is going on with radio right now. Is they're trying to take out the personality and just make it information. It really sucks, you know, as much as it'd be great to be on a nationally syndicated show, it's taking away a lot of like local little jobs. Like Ryan Hoppe might not have gotten a start in radio if he didn't do his podcast and stuff, because you wouldn't have been able to go to Des Moines and get on a small
I think
station.
about what it would be like, because I've just kind of worked for the worst people, being Rover and Mike Calta, who's like, Calta's like a copycat of Bubba. I describe Calta as like when you listen to an audiobook and you have it at half speed. Calta is like a half speed Bubba the Love Sponge, because Bubba is kind of like a little similar to Cal, but I've heard of people where like they want you to be like the whipping boy. It'd be like if Turd, or I mean, even for example, look at Brian the Whipping Boy. He was a whipping boy, and now he's got his own show. That's kind of the path I took. Was like I was the whipping boy. I did boxing matches. I got tased by porn stars, all of that. And then it was like when I turned 28, 29, I was like, well, I've done this since I was 21, and there's a lot of like. There's a lot of these guys that still work at that place I worked at that are still doing the same thing, and they're like 37, 38. I'm like, aren't you embarrassed? Like the one life you get, you want to still talk to like some OnlyFans girl and talk about her vagina? Like, don't you want to do anything else? And the other thing is like, there's something beautiful about leaving on your own terms rather than staying forever. Which is why I loved even Kyle got to do.
I wouldn't know about that.
Yeah. Well, Kyle, didn't he kind of say goodbye to WLS, or because he did that goodbye show?
Yeah. Anyways, we did leave Rock 103.5. We did leave Rock 103.5 because we got hired to go on to Q101.
Yeah.
We got fired from Q101. I forget what for. Oh, because the general manager, this happens in radio. When new general managers come in, they want to make their own mark.
Of course they do.
This is my station now. I'm going to make I'm bringing my own morning guy. And they came up with this idea called the Morning Fix, which was supposed to be like, what was it? The
Second
Soup,
City.
or what is it?
Second City.
But it was supposed to be like 30 minutes repeated over and over. Like they would do the same 30 minutes over and over.
Cheese. That fucking phony. I will say it. I try to not talk about other people in radio. Like, even though I don't like Rover or Calta, I have respect for them. But that fucking hack, that fucking phony known as Alan Cox, who did that show, can kiss my ass. He works in Cleveland, and he's obsessed with like having his people call in and say, hate you, hate the show, copying love you, love the show. It's like, dude, you were a failure in Chicago, and you were lucky that Cleveland's embraced you.
Right? I know. Believe me. I used to work in a magazine called The Gavin Report, and if there's any old radio people that are listening out there, The Gavin Report was like Billboard magazine, but it was smaller. But we used to have this convention every year, the Gavin Convention, and it was legendary. It was on Union Square, that big hotel. I can't remember the name, but it was in San Francisco, and every year we would do it, and I used to run that because I worked at The Gavin Report before I started working with Mancow. So I met all these radio guys, Kevin and Bean, who would walk in, hey, groovy guys and gals. They're just like 90% of people that are in radio are the biggest dorks on the planet. But they get behind a mic, you can't see what they look like, and they just do all this stuff, but then they go out in person, and they're the biggest dorks.
Bean's another dork. I asked Bean if he wanted to call into my show like 10 years ago. He goes, no thanks. I go, whatever. So I asked him a year later on Twitter, and Bean goes, don't you remember? And then he pulls up the tweet. He's like, don't you remember when I said no? I'm like, wow, dude. Sorry I'm not as cool as you, Gene Baxter.
That's the problem, yeah. But if you realize it, all of the big guys, they're all the same person. They all have that ego. They all want to be fed. They all want to be like, hey, they want to be recognized when they go out. They want to be, and it's like they all have that same exact thing, like Brandmeier, Dahl, Mancow, Johnny B. Yeah, Brandmeier. But I mean, it's like they're all the same.
Jobo.
And I've met a lot of them, and it's just like, wow. They're all the same people.
You
but
know who's
the level of talent is different.
You know who's different?
Mancow was the king. Who?
Eddie Volkman. Eddie Volkman, I partied with him last month at the B96 reunion in Portage, Indiana. I got to meet Bad Boy Bill and Julian Jumpin' Prez and all these guys I worshipped listening to on the radio. And Eddie Volkman said you're one of the greatest radio producers ever.
Well, that's amazing coming from him. He's like such a great guy, and he's been like a Chicago fixture forever. And they still show those commercials where he's insurance. I forget what insurance company it is.
773-202-5000. We got
5,000. Yeah. Chicago. But yeah, they still do that, and he's just one of those guys who's so nice, and he's not like no
and he's
ego,
real.
no,
and he's real,
and he just talks. He doesn't come on and go, hey, everybody, it's good morning. It's like he's just a normal guy. And I think, once again, they're not trying to take the personality out, but they want radio. Because I was doing traffic. I just worked the last 2 years on the drive with Sherman and Tingle. And I would do traffic. And afterwards, like 2 weeks of doing traffic, the program director calls me and he's like, we need you to dial back the personality. Just do traffic. Just come on and go, your traffic this morning.
I've dealt with that.
15 minutes. And it's like no personality. It's like, oh, yeah, you'd hate to add personality.
Who said
to
that?
Something that's boring.
Which boss said that?
Our program director, Keith Hastings, who had no business being in Chicago. The drive, for some reason, is doing great, but
Dude.
he, as a program director, has no business being in Chicago.
I have a Keith.
Should have got eaten alive.
I have a Keith story. Well, Keith Lawless is my friend and saved my job twice in Tampa, so I will always say great things about Keith Lawless.
Keith Lawless was great.
A saint.
Keith
Lawless is the man.
Yeah.
But
He
Keith
was really nice.
Keith Hastings.
Keith Hastings had it out for me, yeah.
Listen to my story. So there's this show called Billy Madison that's in San Antonio that does excellent there. They haven't really taken off anywhere else in radio, but they're kind of like a Bubba Love Sponge light. And their whole audience is like the Hispanic people in San Antonio, which is fine. I used to like them because they were syndicated in Tampa, but they're so similar to Bubba that they never really took off in Tampa, but they're huge in San Antonio. They're the Mancow of San Antonio, Billy Madison show.
Yeah.
And Keith Hastings was the boss there. And I was talking to one of the co-hosts and one of the producers of Billy Madison, and I've interviewed them before, and they were friends, and they were trying to get me hired in San Antonio in like 2019. Well, Keith Hastings was the boss of Kiss Rocks, the radio station there. And somebody in Tampa said on air, I think Ryan Hoppe's joining the Billy Madison show or whatever. And it was this dumb blonde from the Mike Calta show named Carmen. Anyway, so the whole thing gets out, and then like Keith just like C-blocked me and pretty much made sure I didn't get the job. And it was like, thanks, dude.
Yeah, I don't understand that guy. He came from some small market up in Minnesota, whatever, there in San. But I mean, he comes to Chicago, had no business. And I watch him, and there was a lady that worked there that did traffic, which not regular traffic, but commercial traffic.
Yeah.
And she goes, I've been programming the music for weeks. Keith doesn't know how to program music. And I was like, wait, right. You're programming the music? He goes, yeah. Like Keith forgot. They did like a rock block weekend or something. He forgot to program all the rock blocks. So she had to come in and do it. And then there was one that was messed up. He got mad at her. That's how, I don't know. There's some people that just shouldn't be in radio. They don't deserve it. Most program directors I've met a few great ones. But most program directors are just failed DJs. They couldn't make it DJing, so they're like, okay, I'm going to be the boss of everybody else. So I could tell them what to do. Even though it didn't work for me when I was on the air, I'm going to tell them what to do. And that's the problem. But then there are some really great program directors. Scott Fay was our program director out in San Francisco.
Rick Thomas.
Dave Richards, he's up in Seattle now. He was our program director on Rock 103.5 and Q101, who's great. He gets it. He knows radio, and he gets it and lets us do our thing. Wade, what was his name? Wade was on the loop. When we were on the loop, he was a program director. Would just let us do our thing. If something happened, then he would come to me and say, hey, Can you blah, blah, blah? And I'd be, yeah, but not like those daily meetings after the show.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go over it. Now, this first break you did, it's like, no, we don't need to do that, you know?
Dude.
Mancow has been in the business long enough. If you want, tell me what I did wrong. I don't have to sit here for an hour and listen to a tape, you know?
I'm not trying to ass kiss, but because we just put out not negative energy, but we told the story of the bad Keith. How amazing is Keith Lawless? There were a few times I should have been fired, and that man signed off to save my job. So I will always give a round of applause.
I wish you would have saved mine. Although, actually, no. I think I'm better off now. Because there's certain shows that are out there that don't want to change. They say they do. They bring on a producer. They want more production. They want this. They want that. But they don't really. So that's where I was.
What about Rick Thomas? Rick Thomas is another good dude.
Rico Tomas. He's like, that's one guy who, much like Mancow, I think that's why him and Mancow got along. They look at radio as a war. You're in war.
Yeah, he does.
With
I love
the
it.
other stations. You know, like, back in the day, we were doing, bumper sticker. You know, stop buying it. We'll slap a bumper sticker on your car, give you a shirt. You know, the whole crew will be out there. So they would hear the KMEL's doing one. Rick Thomas would say, hey, guys, we're doing a sticker drop at this place. And we get there, KMEL set up right across the street. So it was like, it's a war. And that's how he approached everything. And it was great. We were doing great, you know.
Cheese, do you want to laugh?
I want to what?
Do you want to laugh at something?
I feel like doing? No, what's that? I feel like going outside and having me some sex with a big old pig. Me too!
Hey, what you eating?
Cowboy Dick.
Hey, buckaroos, there's nothing like a little cowboy dick ice cream.
I want something. I've got a craving.
Yeah, well, how about some cowboy dick?
Sure.
All the cowgirls love my cowboy dick. And I should know, because I'm cowboy dick.
I like my cowboy dick with some nuts.
No problem, partner. Introducing cowboy dick with nuts so big you can hardly wrap your lips around them.
My youngins love Cowboy Dick.
Bam, fill your posse with my cowboy dick.
Oh, Cowboy Dick.
Here, try it. How is it?
I can't talk. My mouth is full of Cowboy Dick.
She's smiling. She's smiling. Fill your mouth with my cowboy dick. Available in your grocer's freezer. Ooh, once you've had your first cowboy dick, you won't ever go back. When you're filled with cowboy dick, you'll scream, wee! Yahoo!
A sick person with a powerful tool. Mancow's Morning Madhouse on Rock 103.5.
So, Cheese, what was it like? What was it like making Cowboy Dick, the skit?
You know, it's one of those things where Mancow will come to you with a script, and sometimes it'll be bullet points, and he'll say, make this into a script, or it's fully written out. That was one that was fully written out, and so I got to go to one of the girls on the show, or one of the interns, and go, can you say something in the mic for me? Sure, what? I love Cowboy Dick in my mouth, you know, and I'd have to say this to an 18, 19-year-old producer, you know, or intern, and then, you know, they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, don't worry, it's funny, don't worry, you know. But we did so much of that, and that's what I think people loved about the show, is that we did so much of that, from parody songs to parody spots to phone scams to whatever. It was just like, Mancow's a big fan of radio theater. Like it's old radio theater, Firesign Theater, you know, National Lampoon, all these guys that did that stuff. That's how Mancow wanted the show to be. So whenever there was something, there'd be music in the background talking, and he would tell a story. Or if there's a parody spot, I did production where there were footsteps went from the left speaker to the right speaker. You know, the door knock is only in the left speaker. I would change stuff like that and make it so it was like theater. It's like you hear the door knock on the left side, and all of a sudden someone comes from the right and opens the door, you know, and it's like, that's the kind of stuff. And when people would come up to me and go, dude, I love your production, man, I could tell that they were like real radio fans, because they listen. they listen enough to hear that I take the time to do that. But we did so much of that stuff back in the day, and I just actually found a couple of my old CDs yesterday. But that was my favorite part of the job, aside from blocking traffic on the Bay Bridge, nude stock.
Tell me about that.
Mancow's Freak Show.
Tell me about the bridge moment.
The bridge moment was spur of the moment. It was Bill Clinton stopped traffic at LAX, and like all air traffic was stopped. So you couldn't fly in or out of LA because Bill Clinton was getting a haircut on Air Force One. So Mancow wants to make fun of it. So we send Chewy out in the van. He goes across the Bay Bridge underneath to Oakland, and then he's going to come back over the Bay Bridge on the top. And because under is going to Oakland, over is coming into San Francisco. So what happened was it was just going to be Chewy and the driver get out, get a haircut, get back in and drive. What happened was truckers started hearing this. They would see the van, they pulled up next to it. Another trucker pulled up next to it. Another trucker pulled up next to that. So next thing you know, instead of stopping one lane of traffic, all these truckers joined in and they stopped every lane on the Bay Bridge. And it was literally for 2 minutes and 37 seconds we stopped traffic. And it backed traffic up for like 78 miles. And people were pissed, and there was a lawsuit. Mancow got fined. We had to pay the tolls for one weekend. It was well over $1 million. But, it's stuff like that makes you legendary.
At that same time, you got to work with my friend Hammer and Hank. What was that like?
Hammer and Hank. He was one of those kids, much like Cowboy Ray, who they found us. That's the thing. These people would come to us because they felt attracted to the show, and the ones that we had on the air were just hilarious. We called them a different name when we had him on the show. He wasn't Hammer and Hank, but I don't want to say the name just because it's not, it's 2025. It's not, 1992 anymore. Not that it was right back then, but whatever. We weren't making fun of them. We let them be funny. That's the thing. Mancow, if he has people that are like that have that little quirks and stuff, quirky people, he wouldn't make fun of them. He would just make them be funny. Because mostly on their own, they're funny. Hammer and Hank, hilarious. You know what I mean? And with Mancow kind of guiding him along, he was hilarious. Much like Cowboy Ray. Without Mancow, Cowboy Ray would just sit there and talk about cuckoo clocks for a half an hour. Mancow would have to direct him along and make these people. I mean, he even did it with Turd. He would say something to Turd, and then he would turn all the microphones down and go and tell him what to say, and then he'd turn the microphones back up. Because when you're working on the Cow Show, you always had one ear covered with your headphone and the other ear was off, because he's always talking, and he'll always turn the mic down and go, big band bed, big band bed, big band bed. And he'd turn the mic back up, and I'd, hand him the big band bed or whatever. So he would always be talking to you during the show, so you had to have one ear off. And he would always tell Turd what to say. So he would feed these people, and make them funny, and then eventually they get it to where, Turd would be on his own and just be hilarious, But Mancow did all the directing and driving of him, making him better. And, we did that with Cowboy Ray. And Cowboy Ray was legitimately one of the funniest, without even trying to be funny, just funniest people I ever met.
What do you call it? Yeah, that's an unspoken thing, is that Mancow was never mean to people with autism. He would bust their balls, but it always came off like a big brother who's teasing you, but it wasn't cruel. Because the show that Hammer and Hank worked on after you guys was very cruel to him. And then the final pieces of that show, that because the main host died, so they kept the show name, and they made fun of him 2 weeks ago, and I called them out for it. But whenever Mancow would have Big Goonie on, or Cowboy Ray, or Turd, or even Crazy Mary, I never was like, oh my God, is that guy cruel? It felt like he cared enough about them.
It's funny that he was so nice to them. Crazy Mary, DJ Special Ed, Big Goonie. What was the guy in the wheelchair? What was his name?
Eric the Midget?
No, he was a full-grown man in a wheelchair. But gosh, I can't remember his name. Big Head Tony we had, but legitimately, Tony had a giant head. It was big, and but it was because he had some big head disease, whatever it's called. Yeah, I've got big head disease. But he would give them funny names. But then, like you said, he would be nice to them. Like whenever Cowboy Ray would come in, he would leave with a $200 check from Mancow made out to his mom. So Cowboy Ray couldn't go take it and spend it and buy cuckoo clocks, which is what he loved to buy, or alcohol and prostitutes. Either one. It could have been either one. But he would always take care of them. You know, he would have them on the show and let them be funny, but we would never blatantly make fun of them. It was just a fun thing, not a mean thing. And it sucks because Hammer and Hank, I mean, look how far that kid has got. If you would have thought back in the day, when we first had him on and we called him DJ Special Ed because, you know, and now this kid is still in the Bay Area doing radio, going around and doing things, and everybody knows this kid. It's great. You know, that without Mancow, would this kid have got that far, or would he have ended up on, you know, one of those other shows and made fun of, and then said, forget it, I'm not going to do this because this isn't fun, you know? You know
what's, I'm going to give Hank a shout out. He's had a very tough life because in the 80s, they thought he was, I got to think of how to say this. In the 80s, he was put into a boys' home because his parents didn't know how to deal with him, and everybody assumed that he was full on R, but he wasn't because he's actually very brilliant. My only critique of Hank, and I've told him this, he's very forgiving of people. And I think that's a part of the autism. And I've told him this, and I've called out the bullies, but when somebody wrongs me, they're dead to me. It's almost like a mafia thing. Yeah. But with Hank, it's almost admirable in a weird way because it's it's a part of their autism. Because I have 6 autistic listeners, and they'll text me all day, and they're super sweet. And you almost are jealous of how sweet and how forgiving they are.
Right, exactly. Because somebody does something to me, like you said, they're dead to me. Like somebody, you know, I opened this store here and the guy ripped me off. I sold my whole toy collection to get this store. The guy ripped me off. Believe me, that guy's dead to me, you know? And it's I can hold a grudge forever. You know what I mean? If somebody even something stupid, but like you said, they're so nice, and even if they do get screwed with, they're like, "Oh, that was kind of funny." Let's, you know, and then they just go on. It's I wish I could be that way. I wish I could let stuff roll off my back and just roll with it, you know, and not, you know, get all angry and pissed off and want to kill somebody, you know.
Hanks told me that he was doing parody songs on your show.
He was singing. We had him do Hank's mystery song, whatever we call it, the DJ Special Ed's mystery song or whatever. And I would put headphones on him for the song playing, and then he would sing along with the song, and then people would have to guess what he was singing. And as you know, he does have a fabulous voice, much like Elvis or Tony Bennett or, you know, Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. I think he sounds a lot like. Nothing on that. Come on.
Oh, I was letting you talk. I wasn't going to interrupt you. I'm laughing. I'm actually loading up. I was going to keep talking. I'm going to load up what it sounds like when I sing. It's going to make Hank sound like Frank Sinatra.
Okay, so he has just got this ability to sing, and the problem he has is he doesn't always get the words right. But I mean, he did a great job on the national anthem. He got every word right. But back in the day when we were having him sing, you know, it was on Wild 107, so we're having him lip sync to or sing to rap songs. and he wouldn't really know the lyrics and stuff, and it'd be funny. But he always had a great voice, but we had him do that. Yeah, that was fun.
You ready to hear why Hank's the best singer? Oh, crap. I forgot. You can't listen to the audio. God damn it.
Yeah. So just tell me what you're singing and I'll laugh.
I was singing Weezer. Pork and Beans. Here, let me do this real quick. Let me play like 20 seconds of it. I mean, Cheez, how awful is that?
Dude, I've heard, I mean, seriously, if American Idol tryouts come to Tampa, dude,
yeah,
you better be there.
Dude, I should actually do that. That would be, oh my God, that's brilliant.
But I mean, you know, even if you sing bad, it doesn't matter. It's like you're on a radio show. You know, that's the one thing, too, that Cow did. Is like he was never afraid to make fun of himself. You know, and he made us never afraid to talk about something because that's why he gave us stupid names. I was DJ Luv Cheez, not Midge. It was Turd, not Jeff. It was Freak, not Walter, you know, because first off, those names are boring. DJ Luv Cheez, people remember that. Turd,
what does that mean? What does Luv Cheez mean?
You know, it's one of those things it was 92, and there was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, you know, and all these, and we were on Wild 107, so we played all the hip-hop music. So he goes, we got to have a DJ. So DJ Luv Cheez, that's your name. And I go, hell no. You're not calling me DJ Luv Cheez. Boom, he cracks the mic. You know, and he starts talking, and he's like, want to introduce producer, DJ Luv Cheez, blah, blah. And I was like, and from then on, it just stuck. So it means nothing. It's just something he came up with, but everybody has their own, you know, interpretations of it, which is, I think I've heard every one of them over the years. Hey, what's up, DJ Cheez Nuts? It's like, hey, that's hilarious.
So, DJ Luv Cheez, before I let you go, promote yourself. How can people find you, and how can they find your store?
Well, if you're in Chicago, the Chicagoland area, you can find us at 4854 Oakton Street in downtown Skokie. I'm there 7 days a week. You can catch me there anytime between like noon and 7. Online at Chezlu, Chezlu. If you type that into Instagram, my store should pop up. It's called Chezlu's Extraordinary Finds. And I just have promotional stuff. I have autographs. I have rock and roll stuff. I have just anything from like 1974 that I think is cool and fun to look at. It makes me laugh. That's what I have in my store. You can find me, myself, at Luv Cheez, LUVCHEEZ on Instagram. And it's weird because I saw another Luv Cheez. It was some show in like Japan or something, and that one always pops up, and it's weird when I search on YouTube or something. And you can also, my most famous phone scam ever was Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. And you could find that on YouTube if you put in Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken phone scam. People have done videos for that and have gotten over millions of views. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have thought of that. But if you're ever in Chicago, 4854 Oakton Street in downtown Skokie, stop by. We can hang out, chat, do whatever. You know, I love having people come in and just talk about the old days. Because the old days, you know, in radio were the fun days. You know, you try to make these days now as fun as they can be with what you can get away with. But Janet Jackson kind of ruined radio.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she did.
You know, I don't know what that had to do with radio, but when she whipped a nipple out, everybody just attacked radio. Mancow was afraid. Right after that, he made me bleep the word ass. He's like, Cheez, you got to take this back and edit it. I'm like, edit what? He's like, you left ass in there. I'm like, we've said a lot worse. But yeah, not now. Not after Janet Jackson. It's like, she ruined radio. It's like, thanks, Janet. I mean, I enjoyed it, you know, but she ruined radio. I blame her. Let's just blame her.
Yeah, not the program directors that live in the 80s. Not that. Now, dude, it's been a lot of fun having you on the show, and I'm going to be in Chicago in September. What I'm going to do is bring, how many trigs do I need to get the audio? 2 trigs? Or whatever it's called, trigabytes?
Terabyte.
Oh.
If you brought like a terabyte hard drive, one of those little mini ones.
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to like move everything over, and then like, because one of them's messed up, so I have to like, whatever they call it, refresh it or whatever.
Yeah.
So I can load everything back. But I'm going to get, because I have all the Mancow stuff on hard drive. I have like 13 or 14 hard drives laying around. Plus I have a ton of CDs of like worst of bits from like back in the day, like 92. So bring something big and we'll load it up.
Well, dude, it's been a lot of fun having you on the show. It's very crazy because I've been a fan since 2004. I saw the Mancow billboard where he was dressed up like Shrek, and I loved Shrek. I loved Shrek too, and I was like, I have to listen to this show. Actually, before I let you go, one last thing. Did you guys get in trouble for that naked billboard?
No.
Oh, wow. Different times.
Because enough was covered up, they let it go, and like nobody said anything. We thought they would. I don't think we got in trouble, and I think it stayed up the whole time. But of course, you know, that's the theater of radio that Mancow loved. You know, oh my God, they're banning the billboard. If you better go today. Your only chance to see it before they tear it down on Friday. You know, and then he would tell you where it's at. You know, it's all about perception and what you're telling them. Like, here's one thing I'll tell you real quick.
Yeah, you're good.
He would do stuff, and I would say, no one's going to believe that. No one's going to believe that. Because he goes, Prince was playing like the next night at somewhere in Oakland or San Francisco. So he goes, why don't do you have any live CDs of Mancow or of Prince? I go, yeah, I have plenty. Like bootleg ones from the live shows. He goes, okay. He goes, you go on the phone, go outside, I'll play that in the background, and you pretend you're like at a live Prince show, and then you guys are going to have lunch afterwards, and you got to meet Prince. And I'm like, no one's going to believe that. So we did it, and you know, people were calling, where's it at? Where's it at? You know, and then he would kept moving the slider up and down so you couldn't hear what I was saying. I don't know, Cheese is cutting out. I don't know where it's at, you know. And I got home that day, and my girlfriend's mom goes, oh my God, you got to meet Prince today? And I was like, well, he's right. People believe it.
Well,
so you just got to remember, people that are listening, you know, if they really like you, it's not that you're being mean, but they will believe you, and they actually, you can actually like get away with stuff like that, and they'll believe it. So whatever you do in radio, juice it up by like 25%. If you were at a live remote yesterday and there was 12 people there was 300. You know what I mean? Oh my God, I want to thank all 300 people that came out yesterday to see me at, you know, Tampa, Ford, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It was such a great time, you know? It's like, always juice everything up, because the 12 people that are there, they're not going to go, it wasn't 300. You know, they're not going to say anything.
Now, before I let you go, can I get you to record a liner live on the show?
Oh, hell yeah, let's do it.
Hey, this is DJ Luv Cheez, and you're listening to Hoppe Hour with Ryan Hoppe.
Can you text it out and send it to me?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just kidding, because I used to have to do that for everybody, except for, guess who didn't need to have stuff written down for them? Guess what profession?
Cow.
No. There's like certain celebrities that would come in, I would always have to write out, hey, this is so-and-so, and you're listening to
Gilbert Gottfried?
He's one of them, but I'm saying the wrestlers. If you ever get professional wrestlers in, you just go, hey, this, and they're like, I got it. You know, and And then the Rock was one of the greatest. Great liner from the Rock. John Lovitz did a great one. Hi, this is John Lovitz, and you're listening to my friend the Mancow on Q101 Chicago for Winfrey. And it was just hilarious. It was just like out of the blue he did it. But, you know, comedians are funny. So anyways, you ready? Here we go. Hey, what's up? It's DJ Luv Cheez from the famous Wow, I messed up. Leave that in, please. Leave it in. Take 2, everybody. Hey, what's up? It's DJ Luv Cheez from the world famous Mancow Show, and you're listening to my good pal and radio legend, Ryan Hoppe on the Hoppe Hour.
Wow, thank you. I love when people add the radio legend part. It boosts my ego.
Right? You gotta do it.
Oh, thanks, dude. Well, dude, it's been a lot of fun having you on the show. Can you believe we've been talking for 50 minutes?
Get out.
I swear.
I'm supposed to open my store at noon.
Oh, I know. You got 13 minutes to open up.
That's great. Well, thanks for having me on, bro. I appreciate it. Let me know when you post it so I can listen to it and hear how bad I sound.
You sound fine, dude. You sound great. Luv Cheez. You're a legend. Of course you sound good.
All right, I appreciate it.
I will be there in 4 months.
Nice. But I want to talk to you before then because I really want to try to do something, you know, start a show here. And I'm just want to bounce some ideas off you and stuff like that. So whenever you get a chance, we can talk.
Sounds like a plan, DJ Luv Cheez. Thank you for calling in the Hoppe Hour with Ryan Hoppe.
TikTok, clocks a juke, we're playing cruel pranks. Hoppe's hour almost done, feels like robbery in banks. Ryan Hoppe on the mic, dropping wisdom in streams. Syndicated sorrow, now it's time to shatter dreams. Oh, the Hoppe Hour is coming to a close. Radio waves fading like a wilted rose. Laughter and joy dissolving in the air, but we'll keep the rhythm. Oh, life's just so unfair. But the laughter's growing dim. Eardrums mixing Hoppe like fingers without rings. DHX to FM, shout-outs hit the street. But soon the sound will vanish like shadows in the heat. Oh, the Hoppe Hour is coming to a close. Radio waves fading like a wilted rose. Laughter and joy dissolving in the air, but we'll keep the rhythm. Oh, life's just so unfair. But the laughter's growing dim. Eardrums mixing Hoppe like fingers without rings. DHX to FM, shout-outs hit the street. But soon the sound will vanish like shadows in the heat. Oh, the Hoppe Hour is coming to a close. Radio waves fading like a wilted rose. Laughter and joy dissolving in the air, but we'll keep the rhythm. Oh, life's just so unfair. Oh, life's just so unfair. Every night like clockwork to a show. Now it's time to face the silence like a TV on snow. Ryan Hoppe held the mic with humor so divine. The void left in our hearts wider than a canyon line. Empty speakers silent time but coming to an end. Like a roller coaster stopping round the river's bend. Hoppe's jokes and jabs, these are daily grind. Now silence louder than the thoughts we can't rewind. Oh, the Hoppe Hour is coming to a close. Radio waves fading like a wilted rose. Laughter and joy dissolving in the air, but we'll keep the rhythm. Oh, life's just so unfair. The Hoppe Hour is coming to a close. Radio waves fading like a wilted rose. Laughter and joy dissolving in the air, but we'll keep the rhythm. Oh, life's just so unfair.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.
RyanHoppeRadio.com.
And like that, he's gone.
You probably had Taco Bell before.
Whenever we're going outside, all I smell is poop.
I'll kick you in the nuts and we'll call it a day.
Hoppe Hour is now over. Hoppe Hour is now over. Game over.
concludes our broadcast day. Good night, and God bless America.
Doors closing.